So they'll walk that line. Tata Martino early, not happy. But I think he's going to see a little bit of that, especially in this first half.
Classic Tata Martino fashion. Never dress the way you want him to be. Holding that penny rather than wearing it. And when you've coached Barcelona and a couple World Cups, you do
any way you want. Yeah.
In his second year as the head man for Mexico after winning Major League Soccer championship with Atlanta United last year. Foul drawn there by Cesar Montes, one of the interesting names in this lineup. It seems to be an open battle for those center back spots. You thought Carlos Salcedo and Nestor Araujo would be the given starters, but it seems like there's an opening right now for Montes.
Yeah, and Araujo is another guy that people are in and out with him. I mean, there's been so many question marks about this group and how Tata Martino is going to use them. Carlos Salcedo, the 33-year-old as well. I mean, there's one after another, but they do have a lot of experience. Eventually, you're going to have to play with some experienced center backs.
Pizarro here, looking to link up with Gallardo, and the flag goes up.
That's what Tata Martino is able to do now in the position that he's in. As you mentioned, a win here. They go to the top of the group. They go to the semifinals. It looks like the assistant referee got this one right. Good line. Torres holding, as well as the defenders behind him.
You mentioned experienced center backs. Roman Torres returning to the national team to winning MLS Cup. Legend of the game in Panama. Of course, not part of the last national team window, and he, alongside Machado, give you that experience along the back.
Yeah, they absolutely do. It's a guy that can organize things, especially against the Mexican side. You see so much movement up top for Mexico all the time, so you really have to be on your toes. You have to have good communication, and you have to have someone that you trust. And he's a guy that, he's one of those guys with his experience. When he tells you to go right, you don't ask, why do I go right? You just go right, you do it, and you ask questions later. So we're just talking about with Mexico as well. With all these young center backs that they have, young outside backs, you're going to eventually need some experienced players to balance things out.
Francisco Palacios getting the start at right back. Just his 7th international appearance. Will feed off that experience. Torres and Machado, the center backs, and here Fidel Escobar sliding up the field to get the start at defensive midfield.
And we saw Escobar play as a center back in that game in Mexico City, so now moving up one line here in a more preferred position.
Getting the crowd on the feet early. Cross played in, opportunity, and Gabby Torres demanding a penalty kick.
Oh, what a play here by Memo Ochoa early. Gabby Torres pleading with the referee here. Thought he had his jersey pulled. A good ball played in. Good opportunity for Panama. Not only did they have a good opportunity, but you hear it, they get the crowd into the game a little bit.
Last time this crowd saw this team, they were stunned. 2-0 loss to Bermuda here at home. Quintero trying to get it started early here on the other end.
Well, it looked like Montes was the one that got a piece of this one, so even bigger save. Yeah, it was Montes. Oh, Ochoa, and you can see the bench there looking for a tug on the jersey. Looks like the referee got it right. I'm not sure you're going to get that call early in the game, and two players battling for a ball.
Warning sign early on for Mexico, stepping forward. Once again, Arellano flying up the left side. He slips on his shot. Not much to trouble the Mexican legend Memo Ochoa.
Some nervy moments early on here for Mexico. Good sign for Panama.
Zara now sneaks into his space. For Mexico, didn't play the last window with Raul Jimenez. How does this team change with Jimenez in the team?
Well, he's a different type of striker. He's a guy that you can play off of. He now, as he's gone to Wolves, now runs into channels. He does a lot of things. Good hold-up player. And of course, in the box, he's a guy that just needs inches of space. And a good service. You don't take all that many chances. When you're playing at Wolves, you don't get a lot of chances to score. So you got to be clinical when you have opportunities.
score he has in his 2 years. Last year on loan from Benfica, this year now as a full-time player. 18 goals, 5 already this year in just 12 matches in the Premier League. Crunching tackle there, and free kick will go to Panama. Fidel Escobar standing over this one. Currently over in Spain, playing for Cordoba. Header there off for Ayarza. Ayarza steps into central midfield. They'll defend a little behind Barcenas, who's getting the start rather than on the wing alongside Gavin Torres.
Yeah, and then they'll play off each other. Two guys that like to play with movement. They look like they're more, instead of a 4-2-3-1, they look like they're playing more straight 2 forwards. Some good pressure here by Panama. Nicely done by Mexico.
Pizarro cuts back there. No foul in his favor. Still alive for Mexico. Jimenez puts it in the back of the net.
Well, we just talked about his movement. It doesn't take all that much. Alvarado, the ball spills to him, and Jimenez peels off his shoulder. A nice ball played in, and when Jimenez is looking at the goalkeeper 10 yards away, you normally know what the result is. Raul Jimenez, we're just talking about his goal-scoring prowess. This comes out of building out of the back, high pressure, a ball flicked on. Jimenez takes it down here. A nice little ball. Roman Torres, a little slow getting to it. Mexico was looking for a foul, but credit to Pizarro. He gets right up, plays it into Alvarez, eventually to Raul Jimenez. And from here, he's never going to miss. Buries this one to the far post. No complaint there from Tata Martino. Hugs all around.
And I think everyone on the field and in the crowd thought Jimenez was going to roll that ball out to the right off that first touch. Cuts it back for Pizarro. What a moment, what vision there from Jimenez.
And Panama seemed to stop where they thought there may have been a foul that was going to be called on Pizarro. Credit, as I said, to Pizarro for getting right up and continuing to play. Maybe catching everyone from that Panama back 4 off guard.
An awful Pizarro, one of the many players on the field trying to prove that he should be a permanent part of Tata Martino's lineup. Coming forward now is Palacios, and it's knocked away by Moreno.
So far early in this game, Panama has found some success down this right-hand side.
Montero's cross hit off the face there of Gutierrez. Panama right now pushing their fullbacks high. Only trying to get back in this one. An opportunity here, and Ochoa will be the first one to it.
Well, I think what you saw down in Mexico City is Mexico went to build out of the back. They had their fullback so high up the field. When the ball turned over, Gabby Torres was able to run into those spaces. They found some success, so now look like they're in a mode where they're trying to exploit wide areas. But of course, that takes possessing the ball against Mexico. So often, as we've seen over the years, you feel like you're chasing the ball when you're playing Mexico for big stretches of the game.
Chaco Rodriguez getting the start once again here today. International appearances were few and far between before Tata Martino took over. And now Chaco Rodriguez has locked down the right back spot under the Argentine. Due to his performance with the national team and with Tigres. Pair of Argentine managers, either on both sidelines. We saw the embrace from them before the game. Excited to be a part of this one. Escobar now into the attacking half. Deflection and intercepted by Edson Alvarez, who has started life well at Ajax. Very comfortable over in Amsterdam.
Well, Panama confident here to build through this pressure from Mexico. Nice ball here by Roman Torres.
Into the space for Gabby Torres. Knocked down by Montez. You talked about the space those fullbacks vacating. Gabby Torres finding an opening.
Yeah, so far they've been able to get, especially down this right-hand side of the field. You see the goal here, Pizarro getting up, and Jimenez doesn't need much as Torres tries to come across. Nothing Jose Calderon could do in goal.
But even you saw Calderon put his hands up, reacting to the potential foul.
Yeah, that's what he thought. I thought there was just a bit of hesitation by the Panamanian defense as Pizarro went down.
Right now, Raul Jimenez, the premier goal scorer in the region. This one over the top, and Alvarado trying to get his foot around it. He's not able to under pressure.
Alvarado had a really nice goal in that first half. Luis Mejia was the goalkeeper. Cut across the face of the goal. So difficult for defenders. You have inverted wingers cutting across the top of the box. And Arjen Robben style. Bend it to that far. But it's so hard to defend because the ball as a defender seems like it's so far away from you.
You mentioned Luis Mejia. He is not here today. Asked to remain with his club Nacional in Uruguay for their cup final. He's part of what is a large contingent of success for Panama outside of the national team. Roman Torres winning MLS Cup just a few days ago. Quintero in the Peruvian final. And Gabby Torres making it all the way to the final in the Colombian League. It meant a few of these players showed up late. Mejia not a part of this one, but for Panama, a country that's writing their soccer history right now, they don't have much of a background. It's nice to see so much success across the world.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, they're kind of in a transition period, this Panamanian side, and we saw this group get an overhaul. National teams go through this. It seems like about every 10 years where you can't figure out if you're an old group or if you're a younger group, and how do you mix players in, and if you bring too many young players in at one time, you feel like you're going to get your doors blown off, but then you try and measure that with, can they get experience? There's so many variables that go in for a national team manager when you get to that start of the World Cup cycle, if you will. We're about a third of the way through now, so you got to start making some decisions.
Good touch there from Pizarro, knocked away. Ayarza. And Tony, not to rub salt in the wound and bring this up again, but for Panama, it felt like it would have been a clean break if they'd qualified in 2014. For guys like Blas Perez, Tejada, Felipe Beloy, Pineda, for them to step away and let the next generation through. They failed to. Most of those guys hung on maybe a little too long, and now you see it's been tough to find that transition.
Yeah, and that's always the conversation you have to have. What is too long? And I go back to the U.S. in 2006. Bruce Arena said, the group may have been a year too old on average, and there's such a fine line. How do you really know? More often than not, when it's too late. Right, you try and hang in there with guys that have experience that you think can get you through. Sometimes it's too late.
And it feels like a number of teams in Concacaf are looking to turn the page right now. Costa Rica may have started that process yesterday with a win at Curacao.
A big win they had and a good comeback, good team building moment for that Costa Rican side.
The U.S. a bounce back victory over Canada earlier today. Honduras, after their disaster of World Cup qualifying, currently already secure in first place in their group. And now Panama trying to do the same. Gabby Torres doing everything he can to try and hurt this Mexican back line.
Yeah, right down this right-hand side again for Panama. So Tata Martino's going to have some adjusting to do to figure out the relationships here on this left-hand side for him. Torres has been sharp so far.
Torres growing into that center forward role. Coming up behind Blas Perez for years, and now it's his role to lose, and he has been the engine for this team over the course of 2019. Disappointing performance at the Gold Cup. An opportunity here to try and shake off some of that bad feeling as Jimenez has a bullet header.
Doesn't take much. There's not a lot of pace on this ball. It actually looks like he heads it harder than the cross is coming in. See, he finds little pockets of space to get into, and he peels off of Roman Torres, and a little slip by Torres there, but Calderon, an easy save. But a snap header, as you mentioned, from Jimenez hits it pretty hard.
He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he's skilled, he's smart.
He's got all the tools, and he's got a nose for goal, and he is also, in watching him over the last year and a half, because we see a lot of EPL games, he's got a way of bringing other players into the game as well, which is equally as important to everything that they do in the middle of the field.
And you can't ignore the fact that while he didn't play much at Atletico Madrid, his work rate that you mentioned has definitely changed after his time under Diego Simeone, as Rodolfo Pizarro has gone down holding his neck, it looks like, off the ball.
Roman Torres involved here. He's going to plead innocent.
He's been innocent since the day he was born.
Yeah. All center backs are. They're all in it. No center back has ever fouled anybody.
And you look at the intimidating build of Roman Torres helping lead the Seattle Sounders, and you can see after the little collision, his left hand comes up, makes contact with Pizarro, whether it's worth that reaction or not.
That's one thing to say his left hand came up, or it's one thing to say he threw his left arm up. Well, if you're asking Roman Torres, it just came up.
Just natural running motion there. Torres, another MLS Cup championship for him after his long spell as a full-time starter for Millonarios. He's now enjoyed the last 3 years. Came back from a suspension this year after being suspended for PEDs, and was still the starter in the MLS Cup championship against Toronto FC.
Yeah, and had a good run going into the finals. There were some question marks going into the playoffs, or whether he was the center back of that team or not, and Brian Schmetzer was proven right as he put him in throughout the playoffs, and they got the job done.
Machado outrunning Alvarado there. It's a young midfield for Mexico. Gutierrez, Carlos Rodriguez, and Edson Alvarez. Carlos Rodriguez just 22 years old. Alvarez 22 as well. Tata Martino going to learn a lot about these young players here tonight. Mexico leading 1-0 through the goal from Raul Jimenez, his 23rd of his international career, almost 24.
Look how quick he got that shot off. Didn't need an extra touch. Trying to catch the goalkeeper off balance here, but watch this as Alvarez gets so difficult. And Jimenez doesn't wait at all. But when inverted wingers cut across the top of the box as a defender, you really don't know what to do. You're looking for help maybe from your number 6 to crash down, and as defenders come out, exactly what Alvarez did, you're worried about a ball cut in diagonally to a runner running through the back 4.
And for this Mexico team, both Alvarado and Pizarro both like to come in field. So a lot of chaos for Panama to deal with as Barcenas is able to draw a dangerous free kick here. Barcenas complaining a little to his opposition, but he did get the call.
Well, one thing you're seeing here, Panama is not afraid to play. They're going at Mexico every opportunity they have. Maybe can they balance it out? We keep talking about this right-hand side of the field. Can they balance it out and open the game up and get some attacks down the left-hand side? Or are they just going to keep going with what's working?
Barcenas did spend some time in Mexico with Cholos, currently over in Spain, and Fidel Escobar looks like he might be lining up a 40-yard blast here. Will be the center mid to take it. Steps into this one, hits it hard, but not low enough.
He got too much of that one. He's looking for that knuckleball. You saw him cut across the ball, but he didn't hit it clean enough.
Fidel Escobar.
That's quite a distance away. That's 35 yards away or so.
For Escobar, it would be his second international goal. Scored once in World Cup qualifying at Honduras. in the last cycle. Started at the World Cup, all 3 games for Panama. Their first ever World Cup appearance in 2018. And for many, they just wanted to get there, which is good based on what happened once they got there. Roman Torres retiring before the final game of the group stage, saying he was just happy he had just worked his life to get to that point and now has returned from his international retirement.
Odd time to retire.
You got to have the most dramatic moment.
I guess so. You had the biggest stage. You may as well let everybody know.
Roman Torres, of course, scoring the stoppage time goal against Costa Rica in the final game of World Cup qualifying to help Panama clinch their spot at Russia. Good work there. Mayarza to nudge Pizarro off the ball. Tata Martino now about a year in the job with Mexico. What have you made about what he's tried to do to this program?
Well, he's tried a lot of players, and the pool has expanded under Tata Martino. The one thing when you're coaching Mexico, you're always one loss away from having the pressure and the heat of being the manager there. And you know, we're in Nations League, and should the U.S. now get the job done and go to the quarterfinals, you're a loss to the U.S. Away. You know, you saw the game against Argentina when after they beat the U.S. and now they go and lose. Was it 4-1 or 4-0? And there was already pressure on Tata Martino. So that's just the nature of the Mexican national team head coaching position. And he knows it, and it's not a surprise to him. But he's done it in a way where he's got to see some players.
And while we enjoy these games, don't forget, still part of our Concacaf family in the Bahamas, rebuilding after Hurricane Dorian. You can go to unicefusa.org/CONCACAF to donate there. Please do all you can and keep the families there in your thoughts and prayers. The Bahamas currently leading their group in League C. What a team doing what they can to lift the hopes of their nation. And this Panama coaching staff trailing 1-0, but they have to like what they've seen the first 25 minutes.
Yeah, they've played with some adventure in the game. They've played with some heart, with some spirit, and a willingness to go forward. Look, it's Mexico, right? You never think when you're playing Mexico, whether you think you're going to win or lose, and everyone goes into games thinking they're going to win, of course, you don't think you're ever really going to be the master of possession of the ball in the game. You always picture Mexico where they get on the ball and you're chasing quite a bit. You're just trying to keep them in front of you. Panama's, they're at home, so I suppose that makes a big difference. But we saw this also in Mexico City a month ago where Panama was not afraid to play. It was more on the counter. It wasn't through building through all 3 areas of the field, first third, middle third, final third. So it looks a little bit different tonight, but I like the intention here by Americo Gallego, side.
Memo Ochoa forced into a huge save in the opening minutes. Would have been an own goal. Now Barcenas back out on the attack. Was able to turn away from Alvarez. Torres lines up the shot. And Ochoa takes that one cleanly.
Yeah, good build-up once again. They get through this last 30 or 40 yards of the field. A good ball played in Gavi Torres, but as the defenders came over, it was too easy. You'll see here, defenders crashed down, cutting down that back post. It's exactly what Hector Moreno did. Now Ochoa only has to deal with the near post there, so it's easy pickings for a guy of his experience.
Memo Ochoa making the move back from Europe just a few months ago to Club America, and based on the thousands of fans who met him at the airport, it means quite a lot to that fan base to have one of their own return while still in his prime.
It hasn't gotten great for him since the day he got there. And, there's been question marks about Memo Ochoa. As good as he's been with the national team, as we see Jimenez, who continues to be good with the national team, as good as Ochoa has been with the national team, there's always been question marks at the club level on why it doesn't look the same all the time. Sometimes it's a level of comfort that players have. They are certainly happy to have him back at Club America.
Couldn't find playing time in Spain with Malaga. Spent the last 2 years in Belgium with Standard Liège, which many Mexico fans felt was below his quality for a guy who was one of the standout performers over the last 2 World Cups for Mexico.
Yeah, again, it goes back to it's that club thing and how clubs looked at him and his time from starting at Ajaccio when he went there. There were moments where you thought, okay, he's turning the corner and he's going to be a great European goalkeeper, and there were other moments where you questioned it.
He has been the man between the pipes for most of the last 5 years for Mexico. This is Corona sharing the job with him. Battle there in midfield as the whistle finally blows. For Mexico, we talked about all these young players. What have you seen so far from this group?
Well, the inability to get a rhythm so far, right? And it'll come, I think, for Mexico. Yeah, they haven't played together, most of these guys, so it'll take them a little bit. That's what Tata Martino will ask of his team. One thing we have seen, he's got some patience on the sideline, and he's been able to grow into games. But if they go 2 games now against Panama where they're not the dominant side, you know, again, it's the Mexican national team job. Somebody's going to ask you questions.
You mentioned the result against Argentina. They were 4-0 down in the first half in that game. Lautaro Martinez put them to the sword down in Texas. And we've seen similar big results near the end of Mexico national team coaches, although Carlos Osorio got 7-0 in Copa America and still held on.
Yeah, and that was an iffy time, right, for Juan Carlos Osorio. That was his one sort of bogey, if you will.
Torres with the header down, claims her penalty once again. And they go unanswered from Ricardo Montero Araya, our head official.
You see, no handball there. Well done by the referee. Hector Moreno has his hands by his side. For me, even if that one hits his arm there, it's by his side, so you're not going to see a penalty kick called.
Costa Rican officiating crew here for this matchup between the North American Giants and one of the newly appointed powers of Central America. As Panama has grown and grown over the last 10 years. First time we've really seen Mexico any time in the back to knock it around. Ochoa goes straight up the middle on the ground. And now Jimenez in possession. Gallardo trying to get forward. Now Torres will go back to Calderon.
Well, as far as rhythm of the game, I think Panama's been the better of the 2 sides so far. Of course, the killer instinct up top by Raul Jimenez. You give him one opportunity, and you're down 1-0.
Panama were able to claw back and get an equalizer in the final moments of the first half in the last game to close out the October window. Roman Torres ships that one well out. Gallego giving some directions to his experienced center back. Gallego, a legend down in Argentina. Was at Newell's Old Boy in 2015, had not managed since then before taking over, but of course managed River Plate and won a World Cup in the famous blue and white for Argentina back in 1978.
Over 400 games played as a player as well.
Decent resume.
Not too bad.
Has managed Independiente, Newell's, Toluca, Tigres in Mexico, as well as Colo Colo in Chile. My man Tata Martino's been around as well. Newell's Old Boy player under Marcelo Bielsa. Since managed in Paraguay, Argentina, Spain, United States, and now in Mexico. Gutierrez will serve this one in. Not able to be punched away, still alive, and finally cleared by Ariano. And Torres looking to counter the other way. This one will run all the way back to Ochoa. Gutierrez clattering through Ayarza there. Now Alvarez back on the ball. Carlos Rodriguez hasn't had much to do so far tonight.
Yeah, it's been more defensive work, just clogging lanes, breaking up plays. I want to get Roberto Alvarez, number 11, on the ball a little bit more. He's the one guy that was effective through 90 minutes for Mexico a month ago. And it was all from coming in on that right-hand side of the field.
Pizarro floats in. Rodriguez gets it wide to Alvarado. Back into the feet of Pizarro. Machado chasing. He gets the cross away. Gutierrez rises up. Rodriguez now into the path of Alvarado. His shot goes well wide.
Well, what good recognition here from the 22-year-old Monterrey midfielder, Carlos Rodriguez. As we see the initial punch here by Calderon. Montes going for the bicycle kick. Trying to steer it on frame here.
Good reaction from Arellano. Ball kind of comes off his teammate at the last moment and quickly into the air to get that one clear.
Emergency defending there from Panama. You know, you play Mexico, the one thing, you know you're eventually going to give up some opportunities. You got to be solid on restarts. You don't want to gift them any goals. It's the type of team that can punish you. Best attacking team in Concacaf. They have been for a little while.
Right now, sitting on top of the throne as Kings of Concacaf, won the Gold Cup. The only team in Concacaf to get out of the group stage at the 2018 World Cup. Right now, unquestionably the top team in the region.
Yeah, I mean, at the World Cup, there's that fifth game conversation that we've had now. What, 7 World Cups in a row, 6 or 7 World Cups in a row, and Tata Martino will try and break that hex that they have.
Foolproof plan, though, by Mexico to just change the entire 2026 World Cup to more teams. You don't know what the fifth game means anymore. Barcenas here turns away. He's been bright so far in this game. Step there from Chaca Rodriguez. Can Mexico take advantage here in transition? Pizarro makes the run.
He's been the most active in the midfield. Tata Martino always has that one guy in the field that sort of roams all over the place. And Pizarro starting out on this left-hand side, looking good run, cutting through the middle of this defense, and that ball skips when it hits the ground, but not a bad idea for Mexico.
Of course, no Tecatita Corona, no Chucky Lozano.
Chucky Lozano, when he unglues defenses. He finds areas. He's good with the ball at his feet. He's good at dribbling at you. He's such a good player. We see some antics now in the midfield here. Edson Alvarez, a little bit of a bump, but I think Panama making a bit of a meal of it here, as they say.
The fans were already upset as Chaca Rodriguez walked back on the field with the ball, questioning the throw-in. You can hear the crowd up on their feet, unhappy with both Mexican opposition and the referee.
Yeah, there's really nothing in this one. I'm not even sure the referee needs to have a conversation other than to say, cut it out. Next time I'm gonna pull out some cards.
Arellano to throw it back in. Ayarza gets the first head to it. Escobar now tries to bring it down. Scoops it out wide for the right back, Palacios. Quintero back into his path, a chance to put the cross in. Headed away by Moreno at the near post. And now Quintero back on the ball, gliding forward. Torres with black shirts all around him. Tries to go straight through it. And Alvarez there to defend.
Abby Torres trying to go with that push and run around the defender. As you mentioned, Edson Alvarez, well done defending 1v1. Gets his body between the ball and the attacker. There was a foul there at the top of the box. I know the referee played on, but I don't know how much of an advantage it was, as Gabby Torres was staring at 4 defenders, and that's why I think he just tried to push it by everybody and run past them. It didn't work out.
Quinteros had a quiet night so far. Jose Luis Rodriguez on the left side's had a very quiet night for a player many Panamanian soccer circles hope will be their next stars. Jimenez sticks out a leg.
Card here.
And the first yellow card of the game to our goal scorer, Raul Jimenez.
He got a piece of Calderon here. Not sure he was trying to hurt anybody. He was going after the ball here, and he just is a half a step too late, but he does leave a boot in right here.
He got him on the side of his foot.
Yeah, right there. You saw the rip in his pants as he pulled it up.
Looks like Jose Calderon will be okay. As I mentioned, Luis Mejia not here for this game, so the 34-year-old making his 32nd appearance. Currently playing in Guatemala Comunicaciones. He's played all across the world. Rodriguez against Rodriguez there. The Mexican Chaca Rodriguez comes away with it. Final few minutes of this first half. It was an 8th-minute goal from Raul Jimenez to put Mexico ahead. He's had 1 or 2 half chances since then. Alvarado and Pizarro have had 1 or 2 half chances. Otherwise, I have to say the bulk of the play in this first half have been to the home side in red.
And it's really all been down this right-hand side of the field. So Tata Martino will have to make some adjustment to slow Panama down here in this right-hand side. Credit to Panama for recognizing where they could get at this side.
Mexico, an embarrassment of riches in the attacking options off the bench, and Orbelin Pineda, Jose Macias, Uriel Antuna, Sebastian Cordova. Be interesting to see are any defensive changes made. He does have Jorge Sanchez and Christian Calderon, 2 young fullbacks, which could allow him to change his shape a little bit. Bring some more defensive quality on the field. Barcenas brings this one down. Rodriguez trying to get into the path of Ariano. It's just a little bit too far.
Not a bad idea here. Good run centrally. Just couldn't connect. Good movement, good rhythm from Panama. They've been impressive in this first half.
How did they get the breakthrough, though? What's your focus?
Just that last bit of quality in the box. The final pass hasn't been there.
Escobar forces the turnover. He tries to play that final pass. Once again, too short. Montez intercepts it. Big tackle in midfield there from Ariano. And now 2 L3 players in black down on the ground, and it looks like Roman Torres will receive a yellow card. Came in after the play to complain a little.
Here's the first tackle here in Alvarado. Get a look at Roman Torres.
Torres there back behind the play, and afterwards ran through it. Contact with the Mexican attacker. So he receives a yellow card. 1 card to either team so far in this first half. Fairly clean first half, but you have to say, and you've said it a couple times, one without a real tempo or pace to the game, which for Mexico in the lead on the road, maybe they won't mind as much, but it's something you don't anticipate from them.
Yeah, it's been, and you see Torres there with the fouls. He knows exactly what he's doing. As Eric Gutierrez, who really hasn't been all that involved in the game tonight. I was looking forward to seeing him play in the middle of the field for Tata Martino's side. He'll feel that one going into the dressing room.
Chance to break here for Panama, and Escobar can't get it under control. And for Gutierrez, this has been one of the stories of his national team career. No appearances in the World Cup. Was supposed to be the guy in the 2017 Gold Cup. Struggled there. Got injured in the opening game of the Gold Cup in 2019 from the famed Pachuca Academy that produced Ache, produced Chucky Lozano, as well as Rodolfo Pizarro. Gutierrez expected to be the next star from that squad.
And I saw Gutierrez during qualifying in 2015 and the World Cup. I covered him in both of those competitions. He was the captain of that team. As we see Alvarado drawing the foul here. Sloppy defending by Ariana down this left-hand side. It's a dangerous area for Mexico, but you mentioned it. It was Lozano and Gutierrez coming up, and as I said, Gutierrez was the captain. He was running the show for the Mexican side, and it was Irving Lozano that just took off from that World Cup.
Alvarado dragged down there from Ariano. Strong performance so far from Osmar Ariano. 28-year-old, this just his 5th international appearance. Playing with Marathon right now. He's bounced around the world in his career, trying to find a permanent spot. He has been a bright spot at that left back position. See the frustration over the course of this first half for Panama.
Yeah, it's been some chippy fouls in the midfield, and again, you mentioned that frustration from Panama. They probably think that they've done enough maybe to get a goal here, and they come out of this, and now they're going to defend, trying to not go down into the dressing room 2-0.
So it's Rodriguez and Gutierrez, the two center midfielders. Gutierrez strikes it on goal, and Calderon puts it over the top.
Like Calderon seemed in two minds here. He was looking at the lights. He's pointing up.
He's explaining them to Hector Moreno right now.
Yeah, he's got his hands in the right spot. Then he goes to punch, and I think maybe he thought it was going to be a little bit lower. He felt some pressure coming at him. In the end, he got the job done. Doesn't always have to be pretty. You just got to get it done.
Served in from Gutierrez, headed back. Calderon makes the save.
Montez gets on this one again. Calderon came out, then had to retreat and go back. Not the easiest thing to do for a goalkeeper, but he very nicely done.
Calderon restarts the attack quickly. Quintero tried to take this free kick quickly. The El Tri defenders refused to get out of the way, and now Barcenas back on the ball. Can Los Canaleros get the crowd back into it? One more time here before the end of the half. Heard in the opening minutes, they created opportunities. This crowd ready to get on their feet as the always reliable emergency center forward Roman Torres once again the attack.
He makes his runs forward count, as you mentioned earlier, getting that goal that put him through the 2018 World Cup. That was a very forward-like run, if you will. He knew exactly what he was doing and got in a position where he'll never be forgotten for. This is the earlier Montez opportunity. Easy for Calderon.
8th minute goal from Raul Jimenez. A lone difference between these two sides. It was a 3-1 win in Mexico City at the Azteca just a month ago. The last international game both these teams have played. Tata Martino, though, has gotten his group together a few times. He's brought in some young Mexican-based players during the week in between LigaMX matches with the permission of the federation and the clubs to start to build more of a culture as well. A U22 camp going on simultaneous of this group.
And you think about the coordination that takes between teams, between a federation, and then organizing everything, and you have to have the approval of everyone, and Tata Martino comes in, and you never know what the reaction is going to be to a new national team coach, but they've been really accepting of what he wants to do and how he wants to do it.
As well hosted a outside of FIFA window friendly in Toluca against Trinidad and Tobago just before that October window.
You know, things are really going well in the Mexican Federation right now. You got a U17 team now. It's going to play in the World Cup final. It's a good time in Mexican football.
Of course, that man, Raul Jimenez, part of one of the achievements in Mexican football history with the gold medal at the 2012 Olympics. Qualifying will begin in just a few months for Tokyo. Mexico will look step up top the podium once again as Gutierrez is down again here in this first half. It's Rodriguez going down there.
I think he gets caught with an elbow that's flying around, and I don't know if there was any intention in this one. It's just one of those moments in the game where an arm flies up, you get caught with it. Referee's had a difficult job tonight. It's been pretty chippy in the midfield. There's been a lot of pushing and shoving. At some point, he's going to have to draw a line and pull out a card and say that enough is enough.
Gutierrez will take this free kick. We are past the minimum of 1 minute of stoppage time here in the first half. And that'll be it. Raul Jimenez with the only goal so far. The big man coming back from England for this one. His first Nations League game, his first Nations League goal. What do we have coming up in the second half? Panama have pushed, they've prodded. Can they find the breakthrough? We'll be back in just a few moments with first half highlights and second half action. Back from Estadio Romel Fernandez, first half highlights, and Tony, almost the perfect start for Panama.
Yeah, Memo Ochoa early in this game had to be sharp, as this one comes off of Cesar Montes. It was Panama early on, and then the ball gets played into the midfield here. Well taken down by Raul Jimenez. Starts to play here, continues his run at the top of your screen here. You see the arm up. People think there's a foul going on. Everyone except Pizarro Alvarado, who eventually pushes it to him at the far post. And it doesn't take much for Raul Jimenez, the 28-year-old from Wolves, buries it to the far post. It was the only goal of the first half, and we talked about it just before he scored. It's not like Raul Jimenez needs a lot of opportunities. He just needs a look at goal, and we saw what could happen.
23 career international goals. His first appearance, his first goal in Nations League qualifying. And Panama, they worked, they tried to create an opening the other side.
Yeah, and they've been able to exploit areas down the wing, and here's Jimenez with one other opportunity. Gets a lot of power on this header, finds an inch of space as he peels off of Ramon Torres. Alvarado comes inside again, but you can see the movement from Jimenez. A good opportunity for Panama, but they can't get it on frame. Orsini's been one of the bright spots, along with Gabby Torres up top. Here they combine. Memo Ochoa easy at the near post, but another good build-up from Panama. There were moments like this from Mexico, what we call half chances, but they really didn't find a rhythm in the first half.
Not enough of them, and Jose Calderon forced to punch this one over the crossbar. And a few nervous moments on some set pieces, but nothing in the run of play really from Mexico. And you take a look at this final opportunity for Mexico, and Calderon, you can look a little harder maybe than it was, as the first half came to a close. 1-0 lead for El Tri, and they've gone on the road against a Panama team that they didn't play that well against at home. They have the lead, a little bit of the possession lead as well.
Yeah, a little bit, but you expect more from Mexico. Yeah, you expect the numbers to be a little more skewed. 7 total shots, 4 on target. But there wasn't, as I mentioned, that rhythm that Tata Martino wants to see from his side.
What do we see in the second half? Panama, they have to push. They need a result. For Mexico, a win or a draw gets them through as winners of League A Group B already. We've got a lot more action coming up in just a moment from Estadio Romel Fernandez. Go to unicefusa.org/CONCACAF to donate to help rebuild the Bahamas after Hurricane Dorian. So much work being done across CONCACAF. The inaugural Concacaf Nations League competition. This is the final window of this opening competition for Panama. This is the last game they will play in Nations League, and they want to do everything they can to separate themselves from Bermuda, who will play Mexico in the final game of the group coming up next week. Those two teams tied in second place on 3 points. Mexico currently in first on 6 points, currently leading 1-0 on the road. The goal from Raul Jimenez. David Goss and Tony Miola with you. As Estadio Romel Fernandez, the host of El Tri for the night. And Tony, outside of the goal, it was a bright start for Panama, but outside of the goal is the problem.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you just tuned into this game and you said it's 1-0 Mexico, you thought, okay, Mexico's on the front foot. But you look at the rhythm and the flow of this game, it really was Panama. And outside, as you mentioned, of that goal and Raul Jimenez, who we know, it doesn't take all that many opportunities for him to get on the board. Tata Martino here, he's shaking his head a little bit on the bench right now, trying to figure out how he's going to get this team to look like, quote-unquote, the Mexican sides that we have seen in the past and the way Tata Martino wants to play. Now, it's a young side. He's made 9 changes to the team we saw a month ago, so it's going to take a little bit of time. There's no doubt about that, but they really didn't find anything. That man there, Pizarro, was probably the brightest spot for Mexico in the first half.
This is an El Tri side that still has the success, but they're looking for a couple of formulas. Who will be the starting center backs? Who will take over in midfield? And who can lock down the attacking spots around that man, the one constant?
Yeah, and I think center back is the position for Tata. Who is that guy? Who are those two guys, as you mentioned? Or is he going to go with 3 in the back and 2 wing backs? And can he figure that part out? When you have the problem deciding between Chicharito, the all-time leading goal scorer, or Raul Jimenez, it's really not a problem. It's just your decision to make in the end. And they have enough talented midfielders, and, of course, I think their best player in Chucky Lozano.
Lozano not a part of this group here. Neither is Tecatito Corona. Jonah Dos Santos injured in warm-ups heading into this game, so he's been sent home and replaced on the roster. Some of the names you'd expect to see in Guardado as well, not a part of this group, and that means an opportunity for these players to earn more time and prove they can be a part of this group. The final 45 minutes of Nations League play for Panama. Will it be a bright one to push off of going into 2020? And you see immediately Jose Rodriguez, invisible in the first half, comes flying through Chaco Rodriguez with, as he calls, a shoulder.
Yeah, well, maybe it was a shoulder, but he understands what he's doing. And I suppose it was a shoulder, but he didn't talk about the arm and the hip and the and the leg. You mentioned Luis Rodriguez. I was about to say, as a defender, he probably thought he hit the lottery in the first half because everything was down the other side of the field, complete opposite side. He really never had to defend 1v1 at all. Jose Rodriguez, we were just talking about it at the break here, one of the players that Panama, their fan base, technical staff here is looking as sort of being the next superstar in Panama. Hasn't been really all that involved in the game.
Rodriguez getting the start here today after coming off the bench earlier in Nations League play. You see the substitutes already warming up. Cesar Blackman there, who started to pour in the goals in Australia, an option in the attack. A few different pieces that Americo Gallego can go to if he wants to. As Barcenas there was clattered down, Quintero. And the crowd wanted the whistle. None coming from our Costa Rican referee, Ricardo Montero Araya. Now he blows the whistle.
I don't know about this call here. As Pizarro goes down. You see the no call at the top of the box. Again, nothing in it here. For me, as Mexico comes out and then Pizarro gets to the touchline and somehow draws a foul.
You can see the outstretched arms of Gabby Torres. He's gone bonkers a couple times, demanding calls. Felt he had a penalty kick in the opening 30 seconds of this game.
Thought his jersey was tugged on. And it may have been, but it was 2 players going after the ball, and he was doing as much holding and pushing as Montes was.
Mexico find a little bit of rhythm, getting the ascendancy in this game. The only place they're really leading is on the scoreboard. As Torres is called offside. Gabby Torres, 30 years old now, playing in Colombia. Been all over the world in Major League Soccer in Europe, in Venezuela, as well as in Colombia and Ecuador. He hasn't gotten a whole lot of help in the attack here tonight, and it's still almost been enough. Tata Martino, what do you think his messaging was at halftime?
Calmer with the ball in the midfield, be a little bit more patient. You don't have to rush things. Of course, you got to deal with Panama on the counterattack when you, especially in those wide areas when you get players forward. There how he tilts the field maybe to his left side a little bit, as that's where Panama's had most of their success.
We've already seen Rodriguez and Gallardo maybe higher up the field in this first half than the second half, than the entire first half, and it looks like Ayarza will pick up the yellow card.
Yeah, and this is no surprise here. He came on as a substitute in that first game in Mexico, and I mean, he was how he didn't get thrown out of that game was amazing. It was one foul like this after another, and a lot of it is basically just clumsy, leaving a foot in. I mean, I understand he knows what he's doing, but how he played, how he remained till the final whistle in that game was a bit of a mystery.
Abdiel Ayarza at a Colon in Panama, the opposite side of the country from Panama City, where this game's taking place right now. But now Ayarza makes the big tackle. Torres in an offside position. The flag's gone up. A shot off the crossbar anyway.
This one was close, but I think the assistant referee got it spot on here. Yep, there you see it. Well done by Montes and Moreno.
Their assistant referees, Juan Carlos Mora and there Carlos Fernandez. Taylor Herrera, our fourth official, a Costa Rican crew. So Panama get the crowd on their feet, but they still haven't been able to breach this Mexico back line.
Well, Eric Gutierrez really just hasn't been involved. That was his first touch in the second half, and can't take it down.
Calderon will last that one long.
Gabby Torres is just frustrated up top. He's losing these physical battles and then looking at the referee, and he's just got to calm down and deal with the way the referee's managing it, because he has created some opportunities for his side.
Panama putting some pressure on there. Marco Gallego does have Jose Fajardo on the bench, a big physical center forward who's been one of his first options off the bench. He could come in and help Torres here, allow Torres a little bit of freedom to stop battling with those center backs.
Yeah, maybe play Torres underneath a little bit, just give him some freedom to run and not have to have a wrestling match every time he gets the ball, because that's not going to be a winning proposition for him.
Rodriguez, he bangs that cross off his opposing fullback Ariano. Chaka Rodriguez, midfielder for much of his career, converted to right back and has found a home there. He and Gallardo look like they might be the starting pair at the two fullback spots as Pizarro draws a foul on Adolfo Machado. Pizarro asking for more than just a foul called.
Good crowd here tonight in Panama. You got to give them something to cheer about right now. They've had some opportunities. You're playing Mexico. That's what they've come out to see. Can you slay the giant here? Can you start to build something if you're the Panamanian national team? Some young, talented players.
Some of the young players have been A bit of a disappointment here today, but they do have the veterans to rely on in Torres and Machado at the back. It'll be Gutierrez to serve this one, hits the wall. It'll go out for a corner kick. Not sure if that was a shot attempt or not on that near post. Another go at it here for Mexico. Gutierrez and Rodriguez in the corner. Gutierrez serves it in, headed away by Arriaza. Torres goes down once again. Gives a slight glance over to the official. Mexico will clinch their spot at the top of Group B in League A. A victory or a draw here. Ahead of Mexico, ahead of Panama and Bermuda.
Well, Pizarro's been really, really active tonight. He's been, for me, the most active player for Mexico. Starts on that left-hand side, but oftentimes comes across the field, across the face of the defense, trying to pull players out. Made a run in between two center backs in that first half that almost connected.
Pizarro, another strong year for Monterrey. There was rumors AC Milan was looking his way earlier this year.
Well, my AC Milan's been linked with just about everybody, David, so
they've signed just about everyone.
He's just on the list with the rest of them. He would be a nice player, nice addition.
But Pizarro starting to approach that age, 25 years old, where you start to think maybe he'll stick in Mexico for the remainder of his career. Ariana is going to get called for a foul here once again. Jimenez down in a heap on top of the ball.
Yeah, this isn't really Jimenez's game here, but he does a nice job. You see Ariana step in and maybe rakes him across the shin with his boot.
When you think about a player, physical profile of Raul Jimenez 20 years ago, they were win a header and knock it down, and now full athlete, can go wide.
There's more to it. And I said, as much as he scores goals and his movement is good, you watch him on the weekend, and they're a counter-attacking side, and how his hold-up play and how he gets people involved in the game, I think it's one of the more impressive parts of his game.
So it'll be Carlos Rodriguez to take this one. The young Rayados midfielder, Gutierrez steps on it. And Montez once again, his third opportunity in the box, gets his head to it, but cannot get it on frame.
And this one's just a little bit too low where he's got to go for a dive, because if it's a little bit higher, it's easier to skim off the top of your head. You see Montez just run across the face of that line for Panama there. Good ball served in. Had it been a bit higher, it may have been easier for Montez.
Pushing the back there from Alvarez. The Ajax central midfielder has done his job here today. His role defensive first and foremost. It'll be Barcenas over this one. Panama needs a moment here to get themselves back in it. Feels like the momentum of this game, the crowd, if they can get that first goal, it'll all be behind them, but they're still looking for the breakthrough. It'll be Barcenas to serve it. Flips it out to the side of the box, headed down by Torres and cleared by Gutierrez. Barcenas can't get his touch right. Closed down, and he'll go all the way back to Calderon's feet. Calderon will blast it long. That one too long for Torres, and wasn't the set piece Panama was looking for.
No, they did have Torres at that back post, and you would have thought he'd have played it across the face of the goal. He went to play it at the top of the box. Mexico's able to clear it. It's amazing the work that Ramon Torres does. How many times they have to trek forward for restarts, corner kicks, restarts, and now you got to run 70, 80 yards back, and he's the target, so he's always battling with somebody.
And one of the things I was fascinated to see was he's only scored one goal for the Seattle Sounders.
I would have never have guessed that.
Now, he scored a penalty kick to win MLS Cup,
Yeah.
which doesn't count on your statistics,
Right.
which he'll take all the same. I'm pretty sure he has a tattoo.
And not a
of him
bad penalty
celebrating.
kick. Yeah.
Of course, scored the massive goal against Costa Rica. Didn't score in the World Cup, but forced the own goal against Tunisia in the final group stage game for Panama.
I think more importantly now, his role with the national team moving forward will be to sort of groom some of these young players. He'll continue to play here for a little while, and he'll be an organizer, but eventually, as much as his legacy and the goals that he scored.
Chaco Rodriguez flying forward, slips it through for Jimenez, cleared away by Escobar.
I was mentioning about Ramon Torres as Mexico breaks out here, a good counterattack. His legacy is going to be how he leaves a mark on this younger generation with regards to the national team.
Sounds like Panama getting prepared to make their first substitution. It'll be Cecilio Waterman, currently playing down in Uruguay. He will come on for Jose Rodriguez. A disappointing night.
Yeah, it was. Rodriguez, I was looking forward to seeing him play here and maybe have a go at Mexico. He really wasn't involved in the game. And maybe part of being such a right-sided team for Panama was the fact that he didn't get involved. He didn't show in good spaces, and they went down the other side of the field. Either way, now it's Waterman's opportunity.
So it'll be Gutierrez once again. He hits Barcenas 10 yards away for the second straight corner kick. Don't see that very often. And Gutierrez has been trying to sneak things on the near post, so Barcenas on that line.
He's got to get it up and over that first player. You see Jimenez wrestling at that near post.
Gets it in the box, headed away by Arellano.
There's a better ball there in a danger area. Nicely done by Panama, defending it.
So the first substitution of the game for either side. Cecilio Waterman coming on, 28-year-old out of Panama City. He's been playing down in Uruguay for the last 8 years. Spent a little time on loan in Mexico. The Asensio. Gutierrez is going to get called for the foul there and somehow has not picked up a card yet in this game.
I'm not sure about this one here. Yeah, Gutierrez maybe the back, coming on the back of the shoulder of Quintero.
Escobar restarts play quickly. Barcenas knocks this one on, and there's no one there for him to find. And we'll see if with the addition here of Waterman, does Barcenas go wide left and Waterman goes up top alongside Torres.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like Torres may drop underneath a little bit, but you see some frustration from the Panamanian players. Having to go at each other here. They've had enough in this game, and that's probably part of the frustration, is that sometimes it's not going well. You get frustrated. Sometimes it's going well enough where you think you deserve a goal and you don't get one. And just got to calm themselves down here. There's enough in this group, as you see now. Gabriel Torres is playing in a more retreated role here.
And it was major changes to the roster from the first international window with the 2 games against Bermuda to the second window with the road game against Mexico. A similar group coming in here today, and they've improved their performances over the 3 months, but is it enough? Waterman with the ball in. And Ayarza can't get enough of contact on it. Trickles into Memo Ochoa's hands.
Yeah, tough for Ayarza to recognize here, but look at Gabby Torres behind him here, and he throws his arms up. There's really nothing Ayarza could do. He's got to go after this ball. Look at Gabby Torres running in front of Luis Rodriguez. And he kind of grasps his face, knowing that if that ball runs through, he has a tap in. But another good opportunity here for Panama down that right-hand side.
And good sign now with Waterman in that Torres can be in the box and not the one having to create everything out on the wing.
Yeah, not having to battle with the big defenders. I mean, he'll spend some time up top, but it'll be more Waterman dealing with the center backs. It's a lazy offside here by Jimenez.
Cecilio Waterman hasn't been a part of the national team camp often, debuted 9 years ago, 2010. It's been few and far between since then. Similar to a number of these players, including Ariano, the starting left back, who's in the last 6 years only made 5 appearances. He's had a strong performance so far today, and after some complaints, we'll get a free kick here. At what point for Panama is every free kick get bodies in the box and lump it in there?
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be the mission at this point. They got to get themselves back in contention here to win the group. It's going to be a long shot here with Mexico, there's no doubt about it, but you still want to give an effort. And again, you go back to them feeling like they should get something out of this based on the way they've been playing.
Quiet day for Jesus Gallardo. Floated into the box, and Ochoa collided with by Barcenas. Quickly apologizes. Is that the face you made, Tony?
There probably the mouth was moving a little bit. Some words were coming out. This is, Barcenas, he has no chance at this ball.
Ochoa was at a fairly quiet evening. Take out the first chance in the first minute. He hasn't had to do much. But the test should be coming as Panama, they need to get a result here. Goal differential should be in their favor over Bermuda as the tiebreaker if both of them lose to Mexico and sit tied for second place in the group. You have to think you want to push forward a little bit and see if you can get a result here. Jimenez trying to find the run there.
A nice ball rolled in by Jimenez. No panic in it.
Now Alvarado back on the ball. Pizarro looking to link up. Hunted down by Torres. Now a foul will go against Rodolfo Pizarro. Little action off the ball, and for Mexico, if you want to slow the game and avoid quick restarts and whatnot, you're looking at the experts.
Yeah, this is the way to do it right here. And as you mentioned, they know exactly what they're doing. At the moment, if we're being fair here, I mean, Mexico looks like a team that really isn't interested tonight. They look like a team that it's okay, they got their goal, they're going to try and walk out of here.
Quintero floats that one in. Ochoa out to take it. And a good impact from the substitute Waterman.
Yeah, so far so good for Waterman. Mexico looks like a team that's just content with being 1-0 up, and they're okay if it doesn't look pretty, which is also a winning mentality. Everyone thinks, there's a lot of people, I should say, that think it needs to be pretty all the time. You need to win. Tata Martino, he'll continue to coach on that touch line, but they're just killing the game right now.
Alvarez dropping in between his center backs. Rodriguez closed down by red shirts. Chaka Rodriguez gets away from it. Now a chance to go forward. It looks like Panama's preparing their second substitute, Abdiel Arroyo. Another forward coming on. They're getting that substitution now as looks like Alberto Quintero's night is done. Arroyo playing down in Australia for Newcastle Jets. Spent time over the last 3 years in Portugal as well as Costa Rica and Uruguay. And another speedy big forward, and you see the frustration there from Quintero.
Yeah, he's not happy with the substitution.
Alberto Quintero's been the attacking impetus for Panama over the last 10 years in his career. Over 100 appearances with Panama. 31-year-old. Now, Scanaleros will try and do it without him. So both wingers have been taken off. Arroyo was in the 23 for the 2018 World Cup, but did not make an appearance. Machado wins that one back for his team. Just over 20 or so minutes to play in this one. Panama, their final game of Nations League play. Laureano puts that one out of play.
Calderon really stitches defender up. One thing you don't want to do is pass the ball to outside backs when they're facing your goal. Right? You want them to be able to receive it with their first touch and go forward. And as soon as Calderon hit it, he knew exactly what he did. He put his fullback in trouble.
For Calderon and everyone on this Panama team, you have to understand now you've got targets up the field who can win 50-50s. Pizarro pushes it wide. Moreno and Gallardo coming a little higher up the field for Mexico. Pizarro will get fouled from behind by Ayarza.
Boy, Ayarza is the foul machine. I can't imagine there's anybody in Nations League that's got more fouls than him, based on the minutes that he's played. It's incredible.
You got to make sure you have an impact, and this young man's had a pretty big impact in a short international career. As Ariel Antuna now will come on in place of Alvarado. Antuna, a hat trick in just his second career international game against Cuba. He's got 4 goals, had 4 goals in the Gold Cup, has 6 goals and now 12 appearances with the national team.
Yeah, he's been impressive, and you can understand why Tata Martino wants to keep him around here in this group. Again, another one of the young crop of players.
Jimenez with time and space, puts it in, and finished off by Edson Alvarez. And Mexico, it hasn't been pretty, but the score line says it all.
Well, when Jimenez is not scoring, he's setting up here. This one comes out to him. Settles it nicely, has time to look up. A bent ball in the box, and Edson Alvarez. See Jimenez peel off the back post. He's all by himself as the header comes out, recognizing the space. Poorly defended by Panama here as there's 3 players this ball goes through. Watch as Jimenez plays this in between 3 players. No one reacts to it at all. Gets to Edson Alvarez's right foot, and he buries this one. Nothing Calderon could do. He did get a piece of it, but the reaction is just too hard from that distance. Mexico up 2-0.
And back-breaking for the home side. They have pushed all game, and Mexico sitting back on their heels for large stretches. They've got a 2-0 lead on the road, and that's how you become kings of the region. Even in your bad performances, you are a dominating team.
Well, you punish teams when they make mistakes. That's what great teams do. And in this moment, as you mentioned, they are top of the region here, and they know how to punish you. They've got enough players. They're ruthless. And in a moment where you don't think Mexico should be winning this game 2-0, if you're Panama, you look up on the scoreboard and you scratch your head and say, how are we down at this point?
Now Panama, they'll need a miracle just to get a point in this one. Mexico, they're able to hold on here. They still have some work left to do. It's knocked away. And the shot goes wide there from Arroyo.
Yeah, Arroyo thinks he gets fouled here. It seemed he took too much time. He was in 2 minds here. He had a run. So Gabby Torres, a good ball played in here by the other substitute, Waterman. It was Barcenas at that back post. Had he played it first time, he had Barcenas open.
Mexico holds on. They will clinch a spot at the top of the group, a spot in the 2021 Gold Cup, as well as the Gold Cup semifinals. solidify their place in League A for the next round of Nations League. For Panama and Bermuda, it's much murkier. If this result holds, Panama will fall as they try and work this one back. A missed cross in the end. Panama currently tied with Bermuda. Bermuda, their last game will be on the road against Mexico. Panama, if this result holds the way it is, will move to -3 on goal differential. Bermuda already on -5. So it won't matter much because if Bermuda gets any sort of result in Mexico, they'll clinch second place. If they lose, their goal differential will be -6, if not worse. But for Panama, they still have reason to push here to try and get that result. And Armando Cooper, it looks like, is getting ready to come on for the home side.
Yeah, they've got some work to do here.
Somehow that one sneaks through to Antonio.
And you know, the problem here is that when you're playing Mexico and you open yourself up and you give Mexico space, that's when it becomes problematic. That's when you get in trouble.
Pizarro can't get on the end of that one. And Torres got a piece of everything at the end of that play. And a Roman Torres performance from start to finish for sure. Gutierrez will come over and take this. So it will be Armando Cooper coming on, and he will come on in place of Ayarza in central midfield. Cooper, a little bit more quality on the ball than Ayarza. A year with Toronto FC where he won the championship over Roman Torres' Seattle Sounders. Now Cooper enjoying his time over in Israel with Maccabi Petah Tikva. That's all for Ayarza, the foul machine, for tonight.
He lives dangerously, Ayarza, when he plays, but one thing you don't question is the effort. He covers a lot of ground. He's willing to do all the dirty work.
And it felt like for Gallego, he thought if he puts Barcenas at the 10 with two wingers, he'd create enough to have two pure defensive midfielders behind them. And it looked like it would almost work for most of the game, and they just haven't had that last bit.
Yeah, it's just been that final moment. We saw that last play as Arroyo went down that right-hand side of the field. If the quality's good and he rolls a ball across the face of goal, there's a tap in for Barcenas at the back post, but that's kind of the night it's been for Panama so far.
Palacios hasn't gotten forward much. Right back's cross was blocked away. Now Cooper on the ball for the first time. Floats it to the far side for Barcenas. A slip from Ariano. And Torres dropping deep to pick this one up. What can the substitute Cooper do? Good link-up play. And just a little too far there from Torres as Barcenas couldn't react.
One thing I noticed there, Gabri Torres still has some spring in his legs to get forward. We're 75 minutes in. He's been really active in the game, but he's got some juice here.
Long throw coming from Adolfo Machado, a 34-year-old out of Panama City. Machado throws it into the box. Ochoa punches it away. And now Cooper with some space. He lines up the shot and can't get it on frame.
Yeah, has to go near post here. This ball initially punched out by Ochoa. I didn't think there was much pressure on him. Didn't look like it had a knuckle on it. Maybe he thought he was in more traffic, but Cooper cuts across. Here's a lot of people in the box. He has to go for that near post. No fooling Memo Ochoa there.
For Gallego, if his team falls to third in the group, they will be relegated to League B for the next Nations League. They also will miss out on the automatic qualifying spot for the Gold Cup and would have to play a second place team from Group B to qualify. Panama wanted to start that one quickly. And Ricardo Montero Araya blows the whistle. Barcenas has to work out of space. Big switch of the field. Brought down on the far side. Opportunity. And somehow Arroyo cannot hit the frame.
This is just what we're talking about a few minutes ago. Just that quality in the end. And does this one get deflected out? Either way, Arroyo's got to find a way. He did all the hard work because this came across, but he chested down to himself. It bounced up here. Look at this good work. He settles it down. It bounced up nicely. He can't steer it on frame. Looked like Memo Ochoa maybe got a touch on it. And look at Gallego counting 1, 2, 3, 4. He's had opportunity. He's his side.
And what a luxury for Tata Martino to bring on a player of Orbelin Pineda's quality in place of his star performer, Adolfo Pizarro.
Yeah, this makes decisions easy. Well, maybe it makes it harder for Tata Martino when you have this many players, but a luxury that I'm sure most coaches wouldn't mind.
Pineda just 23 years old with Cruz Azul. 2 goals in the Liguilla this season for a struggling Cruz Azul side. But he has been a star performer, including helping Chivas win a CCL and Cruz Azul contend in the Apertura this year, finishing as top spot in the regular season. And Antuna can't get that one under control. Question marks around where Uriel Antuna will play his soccer coming up. His time with the Galaxy on loan done, but has extended his contract till 2022 with Man City. Questions if he'll be sold or loaned once again. As Escobar comes forward, Barcenas now. Slide tackle from behind, and a whistle right on the top of the 18.
No card shown here. Nicely done by Barcenas, cutting through the heart of this defense here, pushes it by Gutierrez, who fouls him from behind. It's going to be a good opportunity for Panama to try and get back into this one.
El Escobar stepping forward, won the ball, and
that's a dangerous tackle from behind. As I see it again from Gutierrez.
It was Gutierrez coming in from behind. He's had a number of tackles. Maybe fortunate. Right now, Raul Jimenez, the only player on Mexico who's received a yellow card in this game.
There's a lot of players around the ball for Panama.
For Mexico, a big wall. What else can you do as a goalkeeper
that's
here?
it. Well, you're really waiting to see what Panama does here. They haven't had anything set up, and you'll see Pineda, which we're seeing a lot of, go down behind the wall so the players can jump. He'll block that low shot that doesn't go over the wall. Tata looking for someone to mark in the air.
Those Panama players can't be in the wall anymore. They have to be at least a yard ahead of it.
And I can tell you it's not 10 yards just based on the marking of the fields. It's only about 8.5 yards. So
what can Gabby Torres do here? Torres strikes through it, hits someone on the way, and deflects back out.
Yeah, Memo Ochoa had a beat on this one. He goes down to his left-hand side before it gets blocked, so he saw it all the way. It was a really good reaction by him, and I think he would have, based on the speed of that ball, would have made a play.
Long throw coming here from Machado. See, has the ball boy wipe it off for him. Just a little moment of glory for that young man. Machado here. Throws it into the box. Flicked on at the near post. Ochoa punches it once again.
That's a nice punch by Ochoa, but I'm surprised he went for the punch. There was really nobody around him.
Cooper will float this one in. Torres is up in the box. He can't get to it. And it'll be Gabby Torres to run it down. Barcenas here under pressure. Gets it over to Escobar. Escobar out wide for Armando Cooper once again. Cooper needs to get a cross away. And Gallardo closes him down. And can Mexico break now? Pineda off and running. And Cooper made the tackle he had to make in the midfield.
Yeah, good recovery run here by Cooper. He had that opportunity down the line, gets blocked. Well done by Orbelin Pineda, breaking out here. Patience in the box. Goes on the dribble, and then you see the foul in the end. Good work all around. Look how explosive Pineda is. You see him here for just one dribble. You get an idea of what he can do in the midfield when the space opens up.
Dangerous attacker and fresh legs to go along with it. Just south of 80 degrees in Panama City. Between two oceans, this city has seen some glorious soccer moments over the last few years. Tonight at the start looked like it could have been one. Panama hasn't been able to live up to that over the course of the 90 minutes. We're in the final 10 minutes or so of this one. Rodriguez all the way back to the veteran Hector Moreno, playing over in Qatar now. And he expected him to return to Mexico after leaving first Roma.
He's had a really good career playing in Spain.
Antuna now off and running, taken down from behind, and a simple penalty kick call.
Yeah, this is really well done by Antuna. He's got a lot of work to get the goal, and all he knows is if he cuts in front of the defender Ariano, he's going to see a yellow card. He's got him on his back. A simple ball played over the top. A great ball played over the top. And look at him cut right in front of the defender. Slows down, draws the defender, Ariana. Sloppy. Antuna draws the foul here. And you know who's going to step up and take this one?
Ricardo Montero Araya, the head official, right on top of that one. And Ariano, he's had a strong night in moments, but hurt here once again. And Raul Jimenez will try and put this one to bed late on from the spot. It was a 3-1 victory for Mexico in the return leg at home against this Panama side. Can Jimenez make it 3-0 here on the road? He scored his first Concacaf Nations League goal of his career in the 8th minute. Looking to finish this one off from the spot. The Premier League striker will step up to this one. And he simply slots it in. And a 3-0 lead for the away team.
Well, as cool as you like here for Raul Jimenez. His second goal of the night, second goal of Nations League. It's too easy, just like that. Mexico up 3-0. And as we saw a month ago, you scratch your head how Mexico came out 3-1 winners against Panama in Mexico City. You may scratch your head even more here. Panama will be asking questions of themselves and how they couldn't find a goal here and how they find themselves down 3-0. Either way, we know that guy does one thing, and it's score goals.
2 goals and an assist here today, coming off the back of a Gold Cup where he had 5 goals in the United States in just 6 games. 5 goals already in 12 appearances with Wolverhampton Wanderers. A long way of saying this guy likes to score goals.
Yeah, that's what he's paid to do. That's what he does. That's why people pay money to see them. That's why clubs pay money to keep them.
As the fans filter out of the Estadio Rommel Fernandez, the traveling supporters from Mexico, though, a massive contingent up off to the left of Memo Ochoa's goal. They are going to enjoy the night in Panama City as their team is going to clinch a spot in the 2021 Gold Cup.
You know, you watch the game, and I go back a month ago, and I say it again, you watch this one, and do you think this is, you look at the flow of the game, do you think it's a 3-0 victory for Mexico? And you probably would say no, but this is what ruthless teams do to you. This is what winning teams do to you. They bury you at every opportunity. That's why this team at the moment is the top in the region.
It's one of the things that's helped Costa Rica over the last 20 years, putting teams away when they're down. It's one of the things the U.S. has struggled with over the last 5 years. Canada has struggled with since 1986.
Yeah.
Of knowing when you're in the ascendancy, taking your moments, especially in these tough situations on the road.
And you think about 1-0 down for Panama and how many opportunities they had. Even at 0-0, they had more opportunities. Mexico comes down the field and scores, and I just hope the game doesn't get silly with fouls like this.
Jimenez not called in for the last camp, and it looks like that's going to be the end of his night as a yellow card shown to Armando Cooper. So it will be the end of the night for Jimenez, and a young man coming on might be the one to inherit his center forward position when he's done in J.J. Macias.
Yeah, you talk about guys who know how to score goals. This is one of them right here, and he's a youngster, but it's easy to see when you watch him play. He takes up good spaces, and you look at the numbers, and early on, all indications are Mexico's going to have another goal scorer on their hands for quite some time.
He's been with Chivas for 8 years technically. He only made 17 appearances, and in 2 years on loan at León, he has scored 18 goals, more than he's appeared in games for Chivas.
It's not a bad number.
It seems like he's proven them wrong.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Raul Jimenez did everything tonight. He had 2 goals, he got an assist, he got a yellow card. He's in every part of the book, for every part of the scorebook.
He'll make sure, for history's sake, everyone knows he was here in Panama for this game, as Cooper goes down in a heap off the back of this play. Took a full leg from Edson Alvarez into his chest there as that ball ran through.
Well, some commitment to go through the tackle there by Alvarez. Cooper paying the price.
So you talk about the performance. If you're Tata Martino, what's your message to the press after this game? But more importantly, what's he working on? What's the next few months look like for him?
Yeah, now the next few months for him, when you start now talking about and thinking about World Cup qualifying, is you've seen all of these players now. Now you got to start. You have to start to narrow things down. The message tonight is, I would think it's a professional performance. It wasn't great, but you saw in moments that were critical in the game, we're able to kill the game off against what is a pretty talented Panama side. And you go on the road and you do it, and now you look at the group, and atop the group, they're going to go through to the semifinals. So all of these positives on a night where his team really didn't play that well. Right? So that I say all the time, good teams find ways to win when they don't play well. Right? Tonight, Mexico wasn't great, but again, you scratch your head and you go, well, they're winning 3-0.
You go back and look. I think of the one big moment against Sweden in the World Cup where it was a Mexico side that didn't play well and wasn't able to keep themselves in the game. Had to be bailed out. You look at the loss to Chile in Copa America as well. This could be something they've been looking for.
Yeah, you've got to. You don't always have to win pretty, and some nights it's not always going to be pretty.
They'll have a minimum of 2 minutes of stoppage time here.
And just think, you started 6 guys that are under the age of 25. Then you bring on a 22-year-old with your first sub, a 23-year-old, and a 20-year-old into the game. So when you want to talk about positives, those are some big positives when you talk about building your side.
And for Mexican football, they've been looking, how can they produce more young players? How can they give them more opportunities? Tonight's a good example for what they've done so far and all the success they've had. And you'd expect with this game they will clinch first place. Even more youngsters to get an opportunity coming up on Monday against Bermuda.
Yeah, interested to see that lineup against Bermuda, which I think will be a very changed lineup, or at least as many young guys as he can get on the field.
You'd think Christian Calderon and Jorge Sanchez might get an opportunity to start. Eric Aguirre, central midfielder, the young man out of Pachuca, who looks to be the next on the development line for them. He might get an opportunity.
We saw him at home against Panama a month ago. Very good player. So, yeah, I think there'll be some changes to this lineup, and now he's got that luxury.
For Panama, they will have to sit and watch. With this loss here today, they are currently still tied with Bermuda for second place. They sit 1 place ahead of Bermuda in goal differential. So the way it stands is if Bermuda gets any result at the Azteca on Monday, they will go through to the 2021 Gold Cup, and they will seal their spot in Nations League for the next tournament. If not, If they lose by any score, Panama will be safe in the Gold Cup and safe in League A. And you hear the boos from the crowd. It wasn't the night the Panama fans wanted. If you told them before, maybe they would have expected this from the performance. They look to be much closer than 3-0.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But again, we keep going back to this Mexican side and all the talent that they have, and in the critical moments of the game, in the final moments, in the final third of the field, they were obviously the better side.
For this home side, Los Canaleros, a frustrating performance here in the Nations League. It's been a frustrating few months for them since the 2018 World Cup. Let's take a look at the highlights from this one. Panama came out, they pushed Mexico, they played high up the field. They were the team that was looking for the opening.
Yeah, they seemed to be the team that was going to get the first goal, but it came here with Pizarro continuing to play to Alvarez, and everyone thought it was going to be a foul here. He eventually finds Raul Jimenez, who hadn't been involved in the game at all up until this point. This is really his first touch, 8 minutes into it. And we saw early on, well done here by Pizarro to continue with the play and not wait for a referee's whistle. And then Mexico had a few opportunities here. This one falls nicely to Jimenez in the 70th minute. Edson Alvarez, I'm sure, is surprised that this one gets through 3 or 4 defenders and onto his right foot. And he buries it. Calderon, it goes underneath him. Very difficult for a goalkeeper when it's down by your feet here. You've got to react, one of the toughest places to react, but you see all the time and space that Jimenez has, and you give good players, David, time and space, they're going to punish you time and time again.
Somehow Edson Alvarez, as a defensive midfielder, continues to score goals. He's done it for Ajax in the Champions League in his short European career. He does it here again, and then Uriel Antuna comes off the bench, a goal scorer in the Gold Cup consistently, and draws a penalty kick here.
Yeah, I think if you're Ariano here, you're wondering, what did I do to deserve this? They bring on Antuna here. He's got some fresh legs, a ball over the top when Ariano's played the entire game. And 85 minutes in, Raul Jimenez, as cool as you like here, buries it. Calderon goes one way, Jimenez goes the other. Tata turns around, gets a few hugs. It's 3-0.
Raul Jimenez, 2 goals and an assist. It was worth the trip across the ocean for him as he continues to solidify that center forward spot under Tata Martino and continues to be the man in black for El Tri. Take a look at the full match stats here from this one. And for Mexico, they ended up pushing the possession in their favor, but for them, it was a professional performance and it was a strong one. Mexico clinches a spot in the 2021 Gold Cup, and they seal the top spot in League A Group B in the first ever Nations League competition with a win on the road. One last match for them against Bermuda. For Panama, their tournament is done. Thanks so much to everyone out there for watching, and have a good night.